There's a lot of competition in the mid-size SUV market, and this car is a very interesting car because it is a hybrid and it starts at
£22,495.
Does it drive, does it feel, and does it look like inside a car which is worth that, or does it look like it might be worth double the price? Let's find out in this video. Driving this car feel like you're in a £22,000 car? Does it feel like it's cheap and not good quality? The answer is no. It feels fantastic. It's smooth to drive. It's very comfortable to drive. It handles the road really well. I'm very impressed with this car. Let's check out some of its cool features now. This is where the magic happens. This is a really interesting hybrid system, and it works differently than the other hybrids I've talked about on this channel. I've talked about Nissan and Honda, how they do hybrids. This is another variation on that. So this engine can power the wheels directly, or it can work as a generator powering a motor which powers the wheels, or it can power the battery which then powers the wheels, or the battery can just power the wheels, or it can use the generator with the engine and with the battery all at the same time. You don't know what it's going to do, but because it's able to have that versatility, it means you get fantastic economy, over 55 miles per gallon, and it means that when you start the car, typically you get EV only range. Now you can't physically turn the EV on and off in the settings. This is not a plug-in hybrid, but when you start it will be quiet, and only when you start to pull away will you hear the engine come on. And in that context, it's probably turning on to power the generator, which then powers the battery, which is then powering the wheels. So you don't know what it's going to do, but it's very smooth and it's very clever, and it's a heck of a lot of technology in this car, especially at this price point. It really is amazing what they were able to cram into here, and we'll see it when we get inside as well for this price point. These are my top features of the MG ZS Plus Hybrid. First of all, the hybrid system itself. The next thing I like is this manual gear selector. Even though it basically just goes into drive, park, and that's it, we've got a nice thing you can hold and feel more manual, and it's much better than those little knobs that you have to twiddle with on the bottom here. Horrible, horrible, horrible Audi VW. Give us this. You can just stick it on top of your little knob, and then you can have something that you can move up and down, and it feels better quality. I had to be careful there because I was worried that was going to turn into sounding like it was dirty. Anyway, I love that. The next thing I love is this interior. It just looks and feels amazing quality. It definitely feels like it's worth a lot more than the £22,000 it starts at. Another cool feature is this massive display, over 12 inches. It looks the part and it's really easy to use. I do have some things that I'm not a big fan of on this car, but at this price point, really, you should ignore everything I'm about to say. And that starts with this manual tailgate. It would be nice if it was automatic. I also don't like the fact that these are fake exhausts here and here. There's an actual exhaust underneath. Just put the exhaust here. Why are you putting it under there with a fake exhaust here? Or just get rid of it. Although it does contrast nicely with the front, which has also got this chrome finish. Next on my list of things I don't like are these seats. They look very nice, but I find them to be very, very hard, and adjusting the position and the lumbar support, which is included, which is a bonus, does not fix it. I find them to be uncomfortable. Obviously, everybody's choices when it comes down to seats of what's comfortable and is not comfortable changes, and you get used to seats. My initial thought were these were not that comfortable, and I stand by that, unlike the seats in the MG S5, which were a lot more comfortable. So it's just the seats on this car that I'm not a big fan of. Try them out yourself. The next thing, which I think is a bit cheeky, is I love this gear knob, but also it wobbles around like somebody forgot to tighten it. I don't think that's a big deal, in all honesty, but I'm being reasonable and fair here. It still works. And I also love this, which is also in my love features as well. The next thing I don't like is this digital driver display, because it's really confused. It's not a full screen. It's basically the middle section is a screen, and the side sections are old style kind of LCD kind of calculator technology, except for in color. I don't understand why they've done that. Why not make the whole thing digital, like proper digital, like a whole screen, rather than have some weird cheap old style calculator technology at the side of the screen? It's strange. Or put a physical speedometer on here. Now I understand why they wouldn't do that, because it hasn't been designed for that, but this is weird. It works and you get used to it, but immediately for me, I looked at that and I was like, that's a bit of a weird contrast. especially with that massive screen in the middle, which is very high tech. No interior lighting anywhere. You can't turn up with the ambient lighting because there is no ambient lighting. Let's talk about the front of the car here. We've got this really big grille, which is very aggressive. We've got a front camera because this has a 360-degree camera system, again for £22,000 starting point. We've got really nice design lights, and we've got this chrome bit at the bottom, which I like. It's a very attractive looking car, and it certainly does not look like a car which is not worth double that. Let's talk trims and specs. This car starts at an amazing £22,495 for the SE trim. If you go up to the trophy trim, which is the top spec model, it's £24,995. So it's still under £25,000. That equates to approximately £350 a month if you put in a deposit of around £3,000. So this is a bargain even for the top spec. What's under the bonnet other than the fantastic hybrid system? We've got a 1.5 litre engine which puts out 102 PS, and then we've got our motor which puts out another 136 PS. Combined, this car puts out 196 PS, so around 200 horsepower and 465 Newton meters of torque. Of course, you can't choose whether the motor is powering it or the engine is powering it, or when they're both doing it combined to get that full power. But if you put your foot down, you're probably gonna get that. What that means is this car can do 0 to 60 in around 8.6 seconds, which we'll test out a bit later in this video. And that means you get around 55 miles per gallon for a fantastic car, which is a mid-sized SUV, which can take the family. There's lots of space. We're gonna check out the back in a second as well. There are 443 litres in the back here of this car, and it's quite spacious. We can lift up the floor here, and there's a tiny bit of space. There is stuff under here. We've got the battery for the car under here, the 12-volt battery. So it's not got a big space underneath. There are hooks and tether points, so there's plenty of space back here. The rear of the MG is pretty spacious, and it's quite high. I'm 1.78 m, and I've got, well, another head above my head. I've got plenty of space in front of my knees. This is comfortable. It's a lot taller than I would expect. This has got more of a boxy shape. Most modern SUVs, for me, I prefer the sleek sportback kind of look, but you've got a lot of room here. If you want to fit kids or a family in the back, headroom's not an issue. Legroom isn't an issue either. The seats back here, I actually think are more comfortable than the seats in the front, but I'll talk about that in a minute. We do have one USB down there, type A, and then we've got seat pockets here and decent sized bins here. And they've done a job to make the back doors feel, or at least look, more premium than they are. It's all plastic, but they've added fake stitching here, which I can live with. The front is slightly different though. We'll check that out in a second. Now it's time to talk about the front of this car. Now the front is really what wowed me when I got in initially. First of all, we've got a really big screen, 12.3 inches. Even though this is soft touch plastic, the way it's been done, it's got kind of this cool feel to it. I mean, it feels like soft touch plastic, but it looks like it might be leather. It's really good at tricking your eye, which I like a lot. And the way there's chrome around these vents, it just accentuates it. There are physical buttons here, sort of physical buttons. I mean, they are actually physical buttons, but to do the climate control, you have to press it once to turn it on and off, and then you can adjust it on the screen. So you've got kind of sort of half manual controls for that. We also have volume controls on the side here, which are really interesting to put them there. Unusual place to have them. And I really do love this MG steering wheel, the way it's kind of squared off with perforated leather along it, some highlighted areas in silver and black. It just is a really cool looking steering wheel. They've hit the target there with that. We've got a digital driver display here, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And one thing I do appreciate is we've got an actual gear selector, even though it's automatic. We've got a space here to store your phone, another space here to store your phone, one USB Type-C, one USB Type-A, and a 12-volt space there, so you can plug your cigarette charger in to power whatever you want. Two cup holders here. We've got an interesting silver start button as well, and we've got space down here where you can put whatever you want. We've got kind of a grab handle kind of design here, and this is soft touch leatherette or leather in feeling, and we've got a nice big glove box too. The seats are also nice to look at, and overall this is a very nice interior. The only thing it's missing is a panoramic sunroof, but I'm not gonna complain about that because this is a huge value car. Let's look at the infotainment system here. So we've got App Connect, climate, radio and navigation. If I swipe to the side, we have more settings here. We have a really good 360 camera, which lets you see all the way around. Remember, £21,995. And we've got a 360 camera system like this. How cool is that? we have our maps, and you can move it around. It's fairly responsive. I would, however, suggest using Android Auto's maps. We can go to the radio, we can go to our car settings, where you can change what settings are on the car. So auto hold on for driving assist, our MG Pilot, and we can have our intelligent drive, so our full assisted system with lane assist and adaptive cruise control. We can turn on or off all these systems we want for safety. I, again, think they should always be on all the time, but some people disagree with me. And we can adjust the lighting. But it is a simple and easy system to use. It speaks for itself, really. And if you connect to App Connect, it is wired, not wireless. We've got our actual buttons down here. So if I tap this button here, it will turn on the AC. But in order for me to adjust it, I physically have to adjust it on the screen. I can't adjust it any other way. And then we have our physical volume buttons at the bottom here. Again, I like this. And we can go back to home using that. So if we're on our maps, for example, and I press that, it takes me back here. Easy enough to use. I do like this nice big screen. You can have it in white, light background or dark background. I've chosen the dark because it's easier to photograph in this video, but that's how that works. What are my driving impressions of this car? Well, it's very smooth, it's very comfortable. You don't actually know if you're being driven by the engine or you're being driven by the motor, because when the car starts, it doesn't actually give you any indication. The only time you will notice actually is when you pull away, when you first turn the car on, then you might get the silence of the EV running, the EV mode, the electricity only mode, using the motors and the battery. But the rest of the time, when it changes between the modes, you don't notice, it just happens intuitively and when it's needed. Remember, we have around 200 horsepower from the combination of the engine and the motor, and they just come in whenever you need them to give you that oomph and that push. You don't feel slow, and in a second I'm going to test the 0 to 60 time, so we'll see if it does it in the 8.7 seconds that MG says it does. But it's a very smooth, very comfortable ride. We've got all the technology in here. Now there are 3 modes of regen on this car. We've got low, which I put it into now, medium, which you can feel the brakes kind of pulling you back, and high, which it feels more aggressive. It's still not like a full EV in full high regen mode, but it definitely feels like it's giving you some energy back, and that will get the best efficiency. I've got a range of over 370 miles right now, and the car is not full, and when it was full it was like 450 miles. So it's really important to know this is a fantastically efficient car, which is very comfortable and very good. With all the technology, all the safety in this car, there isn't really much else you can want. You feel like you're driving a more expensive car. That's what I can say here. Well done, MG. You've done an amazing job with this car, and let's keep it up. I pulled over for a second, and now I'm in EV mode because there's no noise whatsoever. I'm going to test the 0 to 60 time in a second, but there's no noise, and it put me into EV mode, which is exactly what I was trying to say earlier. It will just turn into the mode where you need the engine when you need that extra power. But lots of the time you don't need it until you need it, and then it just does it so smoothly. It's really fantastic how it works. Now we do have modes on here. I can go between sport mode, eco mode, and normal mode. Obviously, if we're going to do a 0 to 60 time, let's try the sport mode, clearly. So I've got a V-Box Performance Pro from V-Box, and that's going to be our 0 to 60 time. Go, 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 go. And so, you know, it picks up quite quickly, actually. I'm quite impressed with the pickup. From 0, it gets going, and it has done it faster than MG say 8.39 seconds. MG say 8.7 seconds. It's done it in 8.39 seconds, and I was going up a slight hill there, so it probably can do it even faster. So it's great when they hit the times or go faster than the times they say. So good performance, good comfort, fun to drive, really impressive, this car. And the value is what is astounding. This car really surprised me. There's no doubt about it. The interior feels much, much better than you would expect for its price point. I've complained plenty of times on this channel that I don't feel the quality in German cars that are even £60,000, like my own car, is that great now. This feels better inside. Yeah, there are some things I don't like about it. There are some little quibbles I have, which I mentioned in this video, but you cannot argue with the value and the price. It drives smoothly, the quality feels great, it looks the part, and it is advanced in its hybrid system. It gives you great economy and great value. And I said this about the MG S5, and I'll keep saying it. MG are onto a winner here. They are going to be taking over if they carry on like this. To see other videos about other cars which are similar, have a look here and here. Thanks for watching. give me a like and subscribe.